All right. Another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Here we are, Peter. Peter.
Good morning, Bill. Bill, I think you're awake.
Yeah. Episode number 245. 245. Wow.
Whoa.
With like 1.25 million downloads and counting, huh?
You know, that's a lot of numbers there.
Yeah, exactly. So today's episode name is How to Mine Hot Pockets, Peter. Hot Pockets of creative real estate.
And you're not talking about the breakfast treat, are you?
No. How to mine hot pockets of creative real estate gold with extraordinary profitable results. Ooh.
Extraordinary.
Yeah. Profitable results.
Extraordinary.
I'm going to read the description. With the advent of cell phones in today's world, it is way too easy to have another give you an address. You plug it into your phone and have GPS give you exact directions to hit the required location. Right?
True that.
What if I told you today we can do the same with finding hot pockets of creative real estate deals with extraordinary profits? Would you believe me? Or would you be thinking the way our current market with houses selling over market value makes it extremely impossible to not only find the rainbow, but even more impossible to find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow?
You're funny.
I know many have told me this over and over and over again, except I have found my personal business and wealth has expanded while all those other folks are complaining, which makes me think of this one point, Peter. Your behavior of doing a deal is much more important than the actual behavior of the deal.
Wow. Well, wait a minute. There's one different word in that sentence. The behavior of doing the deal.
Your behavior, your behavior of doing a deal is much more important than the actual behavior of the deal.
So there's something in the doing word there. So
yeah.
Doing. Yeah, all right.
Think about that for a moment. In today's podcast, we're going to go over simple concepts that will act just like that GPS on your phone, so you can get to exactly where you want and need to be financially and mentally. But beware, Peter, beware. You could have some major shifts in your thinking after today.
Man, that's some really strong words, Mr. Hawthorne.
I could deliver. Don't worry about it. Underestimate me, please, Peter. I work better that way.
Well, you know what? As the rookie and your sometimes partner, because you got your own deals, I get some of mine, but we do a lot of things together. I've been talking to you a lot. Folks, he's not just talking. He's got deals going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're closing tomorrow on something. You got things you've just bought. Yeah, you've got more going on now than in a normal market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I agreed. So let's do some of the housekeeping first. So first of all, thank you everyone for being here and supporting Peter and I and Flipping Houses for Rookies. If you go into the description of wherever you found us, whether it be on Flakebook or ZooTube, or whether it's on our podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, whichever one you use for a podcast platform. In the description, there's a link, and that link has 25 or 26 free things on there. There's scripts and forms and videos. And I have to tell you that I'm being Bill the marketer that I know how to be. And if you haven't been there recently, I've been changing that page. I've been adding and subtracting things. So if you haven't been there recently, because you think you've seen it all, you should go visit it again because it's different. Okay. Also, like I said, if you go on to Facebook, as I call it, Flakebook, which, by the way, I want to give that name most commonly used by me to my dear friend and awesome copywriter and email teacher, Ben Settle. That's where I got that from. So give him credit for that. You should go check him out if you would like to learn how to write copy, and get, enhance your business with some good marketing tips. Then Ben Settle, Settle, is a great place to go. Good morning, Topher. Then, so you can go on Facebook or Flakebook, as I call, type in Flipping Houses for Rookies, and you could watch us live. We stream this thing just like we are right now, somewhere around 9:30 a.m. So when we're recording the podcast itself, we stream it on Facebook and also YouTube. So you can go on either one of those platforms while we're recording, which is about, like I said, 9:30 Thursday morning a.m. and Eastern Standard Time. And you could type in, comments or whatever, because they're right in front of me, and we can answer questions as long as they are pertinent to the podcast that we're working on. If you have other questions, then you'll need to go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. Top right-hand side of the webpage is a support ticket link. Just go in there. I answer all those support tickets. I don't have virtual assistants or anybody do that. You guys are way too important to me. Your support means a lot to me, as well as Peter. And I do not want to put you in the hands of a $5 an hour Philippine virtual assistant. You're much, much more important to me than that. So that's
or any country, not just Philippines, just any $5 person anywhere.
I got
love Filipinos, guys.
Yeah, we got them in Ecuador too, so which are awesome people. All right, so let's get back to business here now that we got the housekeeping done. So let's start off with the profound statement I made in today's podcast description. Your behavior of doing the deal is much more important than the behavior of the deal. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you? Deals are deals, Pete. Good or bad, deals are deals. Mm-hmm. That is usually in control of what the seller considers valuable to them.
Yeah.
Right. And if you can confidently deliver that value to them, well, then the deal becomes real. But at the end of the day, you're working off of the seller's reality of what they consider valuable. Okay?
Yeah.
However, and the profound point that I want to make here, without turning the whole podcast into this one statement, because I can do that, how do you, the listener right now, how do you react to the ups and downs? Are you enthusiastic or cheerful or conservative when you lose deals? I'm sorry. Are you too conservative and lose deals is what I'm trying to say. Because you overdo your numbers. How many times I have coaching clients? Well, I think the repairs are, $85 a square foot. Well, you're going to knock yourself out of the park. You're going to be way too conservative.
Yeah.
Do you have mild interest in doing the deal? Maybe you're just content in life and you're just looking for those really special fall in your lap. Like, yeah, I'll do that. I'd be stupid not to do that.
The easy ones.
Yeah, you're too content in your life. Maybe you're disinterested. I know I ran into this with you a little bit. You're disinterested in the deals, but you're interested in the money. Like I put an email out the other day, which did not get as much of a response as I thought. And I thought it was pretty clever on words myself personally, but it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what my crowd thinks, my congregation thinks.
That's right.
But do you want to go to heaven, but you don't want to die? I mean, it's a play on words, and I know, I'm a very religious person, so it's not an insult on heaven. But point is are you disinterested in what it takes to do this business? Do you just want the money?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Are you bored about it all? I know I get that way.
Yeah. I saw Bill. We're in the lawyer's office the other day, folks. We just happened to bump into each other doing some paperwork with the lawyer and all that. And Bill's sitting in the other room. He's leaning back like, he's ready to light up a cigar and take a nap. He's so relaxed with the lawyer stuff. I'm getting kind of used to it too, but he's just so bored sometimes.
It's a valuable point, Peter. I'm going to have a talk with him. Then we're going to have to turn these sessions into me smoking a cigar. I mean, in the last 8 or 10 days, I've been with him every single day.
Where's the patio there?
Yeah, exactly. What I found out the other day is the other lawyer that's there is the guy that owns the building, because I was talking about, he was asking me if I wanted to rent a room, which is something I was thinking about. Anyways, So are you bored about it all? How about this? Do you have antagonism, or are you hostile about it? Especially when you're talking to your money guys.
Oh, the money guys.
Yeah, you pissed off because they have money and you don't? Are you antagonistic or hostile about it?
Well, Bill, I've heard some of the students when they make phone calls or you hear some recordings and they're talking to a seller, they sound like they're pissed off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The seller, you're talking about the money guys. I hadn't thought of that, but I haven't heard that one. But I've heard them with sellers. Like, I mean, is that how you talk to like the guy at the gas station? The laundromat, the girl at the grocery store? Like, geez, like they're not even going to like you just when you open your mouth. Where do you think that's going to go?
Exactly.
Be nice. Jeez.
Which brings us to the next one. Are you angry? Because antagonism and angry is two different things, right? In my definition of angry, out of this whole entire one, this is the one I see the most. Here's my definition of angry, Peter.
Yeah.
You have a threat of loss and you're fighting for it. That's anger. You have a threat of loss and you're fighting for it. You're angry.
Yeah. You think you're going to lose something.
You're going to lose it and you're fighting for it. And you're angry.
Well, you know what's weird? I've actually done talks on emotions, like semi-professional, but I've done talks on it. And you would think that a situation would elicit the same response of emotion from everybody. Not at all. Like one situation, one guy, I had a friend, he was a class president, and no matter what happened, he was just like, oh, it's fine. He was just always up there, No wonder he was class president.
Yeah.
I know somebody, the least little thing goes wrong, crash, like, take it easy. So your response is your response. It doesn't have to be that, but you think it does. Oh, he said that's what he made me mad. Why'd you get mad? Why don't you just let him say it, walk away and go, It's your response. It can change. I'm not saying you flip the switch, but don't think you're stuck with it, because you're not. You have something, you can change that. And that's important in life and in this business. If you have a crappy attitude, you need to figure out how to move that.
Exactly. So do you hate your seller and others in the deal? I mean, I see this happen. I see this happen a lot.
Hate the seller?
Hate the seller? Yeah, because I have a deal that we just closed yesterday that the seller went behind my back and did all kinds of scrupulous stuff and tried to sell to somebody else because, covertly, right? I could easily hate her. But if I did, she called us at 5. She called us on Friday morning and said she wanted us in the house that day. At 5:30 that night, we wrote a purchase and sales contract. 5:30 p.m. on a Friday night.
Yeah.
We closed at 3:00 on Tuesday. If I hated her for what she did to me, which I could have easily done, I wouldn't have made the deal.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perhaps you're resentful about the deal, or here's what happens. You're resentful about your spouse or somebody that's busting your chops because you're spending all this money and you're not making any money. So now that resentment leaks through the deal in neediness. Right? Because you're resentful, you haven't made a deal yet, and you're trying to prove it to somebody else instead of just doing what's right for the deal. Right?
Yeah.
How about having no sympathy? I can do that easily. That's one of my favorite. Unexpressed resentment. Those are a lot of your suspects. Unexpressed resentment. So they're resenting you because they think that you're trying to make money off of their dough. A lot of people will tell you, so you're trying to make money off of my asset? They don't get it. Unexpressed resentment, right?
Yeah.
Or how about being passive aggressive? Huh. Yeah, well, we could talk about that for 4 shows. Passive aggressive. Being covert? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How about anxious? Fearful? Maybe you feel there's no hope or total terror. Possibly numb. Some people are just numb. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or just treat the deal like it's dead.
Oof.
Right?
Oh yeah, no, that happened. Look, what do you mean? I'll treat it like it's dead. Well, we've had situations where no, it's not going to happen. You go, wait a minute, and just come up with some bright idea how you can bring it back to life. You think, no, it's over. He's not going to do it. Wait a minute.
That's a great example. But how about foreclosure? Oh, there's nothing I could do about it. They're in total apathy, and it's just like the deal is dead. There's nothing they can do anyway, so why bother to try? It's just dead.
Yeah.
And they're just staying there as long as they can until somebody physically comes and moves them out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Head in the sand type scenario.
Yeah.
See, Peter, your behavior or attitude, as I just stated, has everything to do with how the deal turns out. Like I always say, where your attention flows, energies go, results show. So if you're angry and you have attention on being angry, what kind of energy are you going to feed into that anger?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to build that anger. It's going to go from being an anthill to a mountain.
Yeah.
Because your mind is just going to keep pouring energy into it. And you're going to get angrier and angrier and angrier. And the result that you're going to have is a blow up. Ah! Right?
Yeah. It's real easy if the seller or anybody is angry to just get angry back. It's so easy to just throw back the same emotion or attitude that you get right back in somebody's face. But that's not a good idea.
So there's another little jewel I'd like to give to you before I read this next sentence.
Mm-hmm.
My definition of anxious or anxiety.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So here is what anxiety is in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety is fear of not knowing what's going to happen in the future. Unknown future events. Unknownness. Which is why my statement on every deal to all my clients is just do your next step. If you're in control of the next step and you feel good about it,
mm-hmm.
then the anxiety will go away because
Yep.
you know what the next portion of. So anxiety is the fear of not knowing what's going to happen in the future.
Yep.
But if you do your next step and you know what's going to happen, the anxiety will go away.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're always anxious, then what you'll get is more anxiety.
Yeah.
You have to change that pattern.
Worry about is not going to fix it.
Right.
That next step, you get this feeling like you're kind of helpless, not in control, and you can't be sure what's going to happen.
Right.
But that might be 5-6 steps up, right? And how's it going to end up? Well,
you might be out of sequence. You might be at step 3 and thinking about step 8. Well, the reason why you're anxious is because what happens between step 3 and step 8 and the amount of data and the amount of information that you can gather to make the decision at step 8 will help you make the decision at step 8. But if you're missing, I do that with my oldest daughter, Jessie, she's going blah, 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 blah. I'm like, Jess, you don't have enough data. You need to slow down. The next step you need to do is get this information and then get that information. And then once you get enough information, you'll be able to not be anxious and you'll be able to make a conscious decision and not worry about your decision because you feel like you've extrapolated or pulled out enough information
mm-hmm.
so you can make the decision, right?
Yep.
So wouldn't it make sense to remove as many of these obstacles as possible so you don't get driven into an emotion that holds you against the deal through your own doing?
Your own worst enemy, huh? Yourself.
So another saying that I have, and again, this is all just kind of profound stuff. Another saying that I have is frustration is a function of expectation. So if you're frustrated, look at your expectations. What are you expecting? Maybe you were over expecting. Like I expect my wife to pay a doctor bill that's $100,000. And I'm frustrated when she's not paying that bill. That's probably a bad example. I expect my wife to pay for dinner, and she never pays for dinner. Right? So,
yep.
So if she's, and I've talked to her about it and blah, 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 and I can't get it to change. So if I don't want to be frustrated, then I just need to change my expectations. I need to change me, my mind on expecting her to pay for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's a bad example, but I think you get the idea.
No, it's true though. We keep hoping things will happen the way we want. That's nice. Try to do that. But if you're expecting something to happen that may not, you're just going to frustrate yourself. You have to just.
How many students call me or text me or email me, my coaching clients, and say, I got this deal, and they're counting their $30,000 or $40,000 before they even close the seller on doing the deal. They've already collected. Yeah, they've already collected the money, and they're already spending it and telling me what they're going to do with it before they even close the seller. Okay?
They're already skiing in Colorado.
Exactly. So what I'm talking about here is how you hunt for deals. So many, and I think it's about 90% of all real estate investors make this mistake. They think that they are in the business of structuring and making deals for profit. That's what they think. No, they aren't. Unless you want to do things the hard way, like go on the MLS and try to buy a flip, raise the money, do the renovations, and sell it. That's one of the hardest things you can do, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it make sense or make more sense if we were in the business of finding sellers who are ready to sell or have sold something before, even complement what the seller wants? And when giving your offers, consider them valuable. So if you talk to somebody, why not talk to somebody that is willing to hear about a creative real estate deal? And so when you call them, they find your offer valuable. The fact that they don't have to be a landlord might be one of them, or the fact that you can rent from them for a year or two and then buy. That might be valuable to them.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So why not start in that pool instead of like the for sale by owner that's looking for $200,000, and you say, well, I'll give you $1,500 a month. He's like, why would I do that? The market's hot. I can get 20 grand over. Right?
Yeah, true.
Your success depends upon the value the seller places upon what you can do for them. Your success depends upon the value the seller places upon what you can do for them. That's it. Okay? The biggest mistake I see when teaching or coaching is the real estate investor uses their own value or what they think the seller wants to determine the best offer for the seller, and they push it hard.
Yeah.
This is how you get ghosted. Here's where the passive aggressiveness and unexpressed resentment comes from.
Yeah.
Possibly hate, because they're like, they don't want that, right? So the rule, missed a lot, is find out what people want and then help them get it. So find out what your seller wants and then help them get it.
Right. But I think people make the mistakes. I know I have. You talk to somebody for 5 minutes and you think you know what it is.
Yeah.
And I remember reading, I can't remember the book now, but he was talking about going 7 levels deep.
Yep.
Right. Remember that one? 7 levels deep to find out what it really is. Like you ask somebody, what do you want to do? Oh, I want to lose weight. Okay. Well, why do you want to lose weight? Right. Well, so I look better. Like, well, why do you want to do that? Well, I want to feel better too. Well, why is that? Well, then I'll feel better about myself. Why? Well, then maybe I can get a relationship going.
Yeah.
Oh, why didn't you
Right.
say that originally? Yeah. So it can take, we get a little impatient. I've done it, like, oh, I know what he wants. He wants this, that, and the other. And then it wasn't right. Just too impatient, not listening, not caring enough about the other guy. And you don't really get the right thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you and the listeners this. What do you think would be easier for you to do? One, help the seller get what they want. Or two, try to change or overcome their intended motivation with some magical sentence or some special deal structure.
I refuse to answer on the basis it may incriminate me.
You get what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
So the next rule, okay, and beginning and the very beginning of mining hot pockets of gold with extraordinary profit results is motivation. Okay. So once you figure out motivation is the only, let me give you it again. Once you figure out motivation is in only a few types of buckets, in other words, common amongst many, right? So it's just like we talk about objection, stalls, and resistance when we're talking to people. What are their objections? What are their stalls? What are their resistance? And we find that there's 13 to 18 of them that are common amongst all sellers. So once you list those 13 to 18, the stress goes away because you're like, oh, there's only 13 or 15 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Then once you know how to handle them, it takes less stress out, right? So when somebody says, oh, I don't want the mortgage to stay in my name while the deed's in your name, you know how to handle that.
Yeah.
Right? So what I'm saying is the same thing here, right? Is once you figure out motivation is in only a few types of buckets, 12 or 13 or 15 types of motivations, it'll put your mind at ease because you're not thinking that there's 10 million of them and I got to learn them all. No, they're common, right? You can start to appeal to the correct sellers who will give you less resistance when making creative offers, right? So it starts off with a list. So just to be extremely clear, before I move on and give you life examples of how to do this, finding a congregation of sellers whom would want to hear and appreciate creative real estate offers is the main skill you should acquire to be successful.
That bears repeating, Mr. Hawthorne.
Yeah, because so many people come into my planet, Bill's planet, and they want to learn about the deal structuring and all the fancy math and all the fancy words that I use. And they're like trying to memorize everything and they want to be like me. I'm like, I don't know. God knows why anybody would want to be like me. It's not easy. Right?
Mm-hmm.
When really they don't need to do any of that. What they need to do is really concentrate on finding sellers that would want to hear and appreciate their creative real estate offers. Mm-hmm. That's the skill you should have, is finding those sellers.
Yeah.
Because once you find a motivated seller, they don't give a crap about your education or what you're going. All they want to know is you're going to help them. They finally found somebody in the sea of life that is willing to help them for real.
Yeah.
Because those motivated sellers will allow you to be an amateur, make mistakes, even look stupid, which is one of the biggest reasons why students spend so much money on learning, because they don't want to look stupid. Well, get over it. Mm-hmm. I look stupid all the time.
Yeah, I said that to you yesterday. I had to talk to some lawyer about this abandoned house I've been looking for or looking after. And it's like, so, and I don't talk to lawyers a lot. And this is somebody I don't know at all. And I ask, so if I do this, and that, will that make sense? I don't want to look stupid, which is not I don't really care if I look stupid. I don't want to look stupid, so he doesn't work with me mostly. Like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing and dismiss me. That's the real reason that I don't want to look stupid. I don't know about anybody else. It's not a personal thing. I just don't want to look like, he doesn't know what he's doing. Don't hire him. Answer the questions wrong, fail the job interview, and you lose. But you're right. Because I did it. You find the guy who has a problem, you find the answer. Like my first deal, I don't know what I was doing. I said everything half backwards, but they're so happy to find someone willing to help them. It's like, that's it. You're the guy. If it's you or nobody in a way, So even if you're not,
they'll let you be an amateur. They'll let you make mistakes. They'll even tolerate you looking stupid, but they'll still do the deal. Hey, Peter, I went to the bank 2 days ago, and I deposited a pretty big check.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you about my experience at the bank.
Yes.
They know me there. So they're like, hey, Bill, how are you today? I'm pretty good. Geez, it's kind of nice outside. Are you going to be able to get outside and get some sun? She says, yeah, I hope so. Probably at lunchtime. I'm like, that's pretty cool. I said, you guys got to be a little bit nervous about the 19th, March 19th. Connecticut's going to lift all the COVID restrictions. And that means you guys are going to be back to normal, right? So you're probably going to be like a little bit nervous about that, right? She goes, yeah, they got a lot of good stuff going on, so I don't think it's going to be any problem. Do you want me to put the balance of your account on the deposit slip? I'm like, no, I'm online. I can see that anytime I want. All right, here you go, Bill. Have a good day. Thanks so much. Okay. She didn't say to me, where did you get this money? She didn't say to me, did you look stupid while you were collecting this money? Did your seller say something to you, hurt your feelings? She didn't say any of that. The money has no conscience. She didn't ask me if I did a good job with my seller. She didn't say to me, are you a professional? Bill, I know you've done hundreds of deals. How did you handle that seller to make this big deposit? She didn't ask me that. Right?
Well, people don't care about a lot of stuff. They care about what they care about. That's the lady at the bank. That's the seller.
To back up the podcast, it's the value they think you're giving them. And that's different for everybody. Somebody might value the fact that you're paying next month's mortgage payment. They don't have to pay it.
Yeah.
Some people might value, I just closed on a house, 2 days ago, and she needed $100,000 to go pay off debt, and her value was that I could write a purchase sales contract at 5:30 on a Friday night and close on a Tuesday night. And she apologized to us 3 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we gave her that offer 5 weeks ago. And she said that she had somebody else she was going to talk to. She was very sly. She was Asian, very sly, right? And I told Sean that, hey, she's got plan B. You have to ask, what is plan B? If you don't like my offer, what is plan B? And plan B is going to look more valuable to them than plan A, which is us. So she said she had somebody else she was going to show it to. I have a friend that's in the business, blah, blah, blah. Well, on Friday night, I make her confess because I'm not doing the deal until she tells me what she did wrong to me. I point blank let her know that. I'm not doing this deal until you tell me what you did for the last 4 weeks. Why didn't you sell to us 5 weeks ago? Tell us what you did behind our back. Well, I signed up with a wholesaler and they told me that they could give me $200,000 in cash. And Sean's like, I told you, Mia, that you weren't going to be able to get that money. They aren't going to be able to perform. It mathematically doesn't make sense because here's what happens, Peter. I just did last night a meetup, my monthly meetup, and it was about private money. And here's one thing that I tell a lot of my students is if you're going to borrow money, you cannot make a mistake. You cannot take all the anxiousness away. You cannot make a mistake because if the money guy doesn't feel like it's valuable enough, he won't or she won't give you the money. So you can offer whatever you want to your seller. You can sign contracts, which if you sign the right contract, the purchase and sales contract, you put in there's a finance contingency. And if you can't get the financing, you back out. So what are you afraid of? If the bank or the hard money lender or the private money lender or your grandmother doesn't feel like it's a good deal, you're not getting the dough.
Nope.
End of story. So what are you worried about making a mistake paying too much for? Why are you overanalyzing it? Right?
Yep.
Doesn't make sense. All right. Because those motivated sellers will allow you to be an amateur, make mistakes, even look stupid, and still do the deal, absolutely no better way to practice and hone in your skills to get better and better at doing deals. Okay?
Sure.
So all this has been good, and it was nice chatting with you, Peter.
See you next time.
And I'm very happy that we've done this. But I'm going to do something that it took me 3 days to convince myself to do. Okay?
Yes.
And the reason why is because one of my coaching clients said something to me that bothered me a lot. He said, I could just listen to your podcast and get enough coaching from you. Because the podcasts are like coaching calls. Which is not true because there's not two-way interaction. There's not me, studying deals. It's not exactly true, but I got his point. I'm giving away too much material here.
So we're ending the podcast now?
I should. But I'm not going to. So what I want to do now is I want to get into creating a checklist of how you would do this today. How do you find a list of people that would be willing to do creative real estate deals with you? Okay. And by all means, this should be a workshop. For example, I want to just say this right now. This is exactly what I would do on the Deal Hunting Monthly Mastery Call, except I give you all the materials. I put it in a portal, in a one-page portal. You get the recording. So on the first Wednesday of the month, the Deal Hunting Monthly Mastery Call, on a Zoom call, I go through and do it in front of you so you see it. Then I take that recording and I put it onto a membership portal, along with all the documents, checklists, and everything that goes along with how you're supposed to do that. And I give you access to that for 30 days so you can go create that campaign yourself. Okay, I charge $97 for that. It's way too cheap. I give away way too much information. And I have people that actually do it and go get deals the next day. Or the next week, I should say, because it just works. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is something along the lines of what I would do in the Deal Hunting Monthly Mastery Call. It's a little bit, it's not as detailed as I would get into in that call because I don't have a Zoom call in front of you, because it's a podcast. But this is a good idea of what you would get in that service. Okay.
Yeah.
So number one, find a realtor and tell them that you're studying real estate investing and you would like to do business with them once you start getting deals. So you're going to start building your team. Okay. So tell them that, even if it's one or two or three realtors, you just don't lie to them. Just say that, once you start doing deals and you need a realtor, you'd like to be able to use them. Are they interested? Some realtors don't like to deal with investors. So make sure they're willing to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Once you distinguish that and they say they're willing to help you, here's what you do. Number two, ask, which by the way, this list is 20 steps long. Okay. So two, ask them to give you an Excel file with all of the sales from the last 13 months on the Excel file. Okay. That's one full annual quarter. That's enough to do, that's enough survey information to do what we need to do. Okay. Is this making sense so far?
Well, did you say how many months did you say?
It's supposed to be 13 weeks, not 13 months. I said it wrong.
Okay. Yes, that's what I'm wondering. So yeah, a quarter.
Yeah.
Okay. The last quarter. Got it.
I'm sorry about that. It's supposed to be 13 weeks, not months. Let me change that here. I read that like 3 times and knew something was wrong with it. I didn't see it. Blind spot. I had a blind spot. All right. Number 3, Once you have the Excel file with all the addresses on it, okay,
Yeah.
you upload it to Google Maps. Okay. And in the software, you ask it to pin all the addresses. So you know how when you look at Google Maps, there's that little bubble that's the pin. You know what I'm talking about? It's a little.
It would show like if you're putting like pins on a map,
Yeah.
like a little spot for every sale,
Right.
a little red dot. So it would be
So
like a number of dots.
So it's going to put a dot or what they call it a pin for each address that you've uploaded.
Yeah, like the pinhead, the little round part shows.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So,
sure. And you'd have a bunch of pins showing where all the houses sold, right?
Right. So that brings us to number 4. This will give you the hyperactivity in your farm area. Okay. Or an idea that farm area is worth working in or not. So like, maybe on the east side of town is where the most activity is.
Right. A lot of house sales.
Or next to the mall, or, where all the condos are is where the most sales are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But you're going to have 13 weeks worth of sales, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to pin them. So now you know where the hyperactivity is. Because there's like blotches of pins.
Yeah.
Right? Make sense?
That's where the fish are biting, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So step number 5, now pick an arbitrary address. Just pick, any old address in the middle or in the center of that clump of pen deals sold. Just go smack dab in the middle, click on one of the pins and get that address. Which brings us to number 6. Mm-hmm. Write down the address, the full address. Then we move on to number 7. Now hop over to www.melissadata.com. MILISSA. melissadata.com. Okay?
Yeah.
You with me so far? I'm not confusing anybody, am I?
No, these are nice, easy steps. I like number 6. Write down the address.
Yeah.
I can do that one real good.
Good. Step 8. Once you're on the Melissa Data page, look for the link that says marketing lists and databases. It's a box on the right side. You obviously click on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 9, step number 9. On this page, you'll use the
geographical?
No, graphy, they said. Geography. I don't know
Geography?
why maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Sorry. Geography. Duh.
Oh.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Peter. Thank you.
Geo means rocks. Graphy means write. They're writing on the rocks so you can see where things are.
Really?
Yeah.
For real? Okay.
Yeah. So, like geology, rocks.
Okay.
Right. So it's like when you write a map.
I had no idea that meant that.
I looked it up once.
So on this page, use the geography button on the left. Once you click on that button, in the middle of the screen, another screen is going to open up. You're going to use the address and radius link.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So once you click on the geography link or button on the left, it'll open up on the right the address and radius button in the middle of the page. Okay. Step number 10, there you put the address you wrote down in step number 6. You type it in for the address. Also choose the radius that you're willing to drive to do deals. Then click the add button in the box. Now, I'm going to tell you that if you type in 25 miles, it's going to cost you like $3,000 for a list.
Oh, there's going to be a ton of names?
Yeah.
A ton of addresses?
Yeah.
Because you're going to get all the houses?
You're going to get a lot of addresses. You're going to be surprised at how many names you're going to get. Okay?
Well, yeah.
So I tend to do, Well, let me just keep going because it'll explain itself. But just be careful with that section. I would do 5 miles to start.
Mm-hmm.
Step number 11. Then go back to the left menu, okay, on the left side, and click on the absentee / owner type. Absentee owner type. Okay. Then, once you do that, in the middle of the screen, it's going to say absentee owner occupied in the center of the screen. So there's 2 screens. There's 2 boxes, one on the left and one in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So first you're going to open the one that says absentee owner on the left. That'll open the screen in the middle, and you choose in that middle screen the absentee owner occupied button. Okay.
You know, it's a little confusing because when I think absentee owner, I know somebody owns a piece of property, but he doesn't live in there. The second one, though, absentee owner occupied, I'm not sure what that means now.
Okay. So what does owner occupied mean?
Well, it means they live in the house.
Okay.
But if it's absentee owner, it's like he doesn't live in the house that he lives in. That's why I'm being confused. Sounds like he doesn't live, but he does. Absentee and occupied seem like opposite. I'm missing something.
So it's both. You can choose, once you're in that screen, you can choose from the absentee section or the owner occupied section.
Oh, I got it. Okay. I thought it was a state, okay, that makes more sense because you can't be both.
So it brings us to number 12, then choose the absentee owner in the drop-down menu.
Okay.
Then step number 13, now I choose underneath that, so absentee owner, there's 4 selections you can make, and they are in county, in state, out of county, out of state owners.
Mm.
So they're all absentee owners. So they're going to be, are they in the same county absentee owner? Are they in state absentee owners? Are they out of county absentee owners? Or are they out of state absentee owners?
Right.
Okay. Then on the bottom right hand side, you're going to click add filter. Okay, now somebody's going to go through, you're going to think this is a lot, but if you listen to this podcast and just write these steps down, I'm not doing that work for you. I'm not giving you a checklist. You come to the Deal Hunting Monthly Mastery, I'll do all that for you. Mm-hmm. But for today, I'm just proving a point. This is what you would do to find deals. Okay.
And that's especially important right now because it's hard to find properties. Like you might be listening to this a year from now, 2 years. But right now, it's rough to find properties.
Yeah.
Selling is easy. Buying is not so hard. So this is important so you can find more.
Yeah. So once you add the filter in step 13, you're going to go to step 14. When I did my address, I put my address in and I put a couple radiuses in there. So when I did my address where I live here, okay, I did a 5 mile radius. It pulled up 4,110 names. Okay, so you get what I'm saying there, Peter. They're absentee owners that live in a different location. They either live in county, in state, or out of county, out of state. In other words, the tax bill is not going to that property.
So would it be accurate to say they're landlords?
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. All I know is they don't live in the house.
Yeah.
So what are the chances of me talking to them about taking monthly payments and paying them off later that they're not already doing that? Probably about 100%. I don't have to convince them. They're already motivated, just like I was talking about. They're already doing it. Mm-hmm. I'm already in their mind, in the conversation in their head already. The difference is that I'm going to cash them out in a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they're not going to have the landlord obligation. See, I'm going after the list that is most valuable to the offer that I want to give, that thinks that my offer will have the most value. There's nothing but upside for them because they're already collecting payments, more than likely.
Yeah.
Right?
And if they're not, they might really like your phone call because they're paying and not inflowing, not getting any money. If it's not, if it's vacant or, well, I got a deadbeat kid living in it that pays me, I want to get rid of them. Sell you the house and you throw them out.
Exactly. So the 5 mile radius that I pulled had 4,110 names that cost $328.
Wow, not bad.
Or you could pull a 2.5. I pulled a 2.5 mile radius list, and I didn't write down how many names it had. Oh, son of a bitch! It cost $127. I
So
think
probably
it
would be about a third of that then, roughly.
was like 1,800 if I remember right, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think you can buy leads? You think you could buy a house with all those leads? Now you spend $328. Do you think now? Step number 15, because I got to keep going, because otherwise I'm going to get ahead of myself. And we're kind of ahead schedule on this podcast, which I was surprised to see, but that's because I'm just sticking to the script. So step number 15 is now here's the complete magic of doing this. This is completely magical, which is why I don't normally talk about this kind of stuff on a free podcast, because who else is giving you these steps or these tips or these ideas?
Bill, I've heard you talk about Melissa Data a number of times. This is the first time I've heard all the details in it. I'm glad I know where to find the podcast to write these down if I want to use this, or have, I got a kid looking for a house having a hard time. So maybe we'll go. I'm surprised you had all that details. So I'll go back and try this out.
And I'm not done.
A lot
yet.
of detail.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I
done
know.
yet.
But just getting the specifics, like all the little menus and with the follow down. I've never heard you give that detail.
So watch this. Melissa Data, this is the magic. This is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa Data will give you for that $127 or $325, whatever the number is. Here's what they will give you.
Mm-hmm.
They'll give you the property owner's name. They give you the property address, the mailing address for the property,
Mm-hmm.
and the property owner's phone number.
The phone number
For 8 cents a lead. 8 cents a lead.
And I got 8 cents. Man.
8 cents a lead. I'm going to tell you right now, we're doing this, which we're going to change because I'm going to talk to Sean about this afternoon, and I got some other ideas I'm not going to talk about with our software.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to actually hook the two pieces of software together for 8 cents a lead. But I'm going to tell you right now, I pay $97 a month for PropStream to get 10,000 names downloaded.
Mm-hmm.
So Sean goes in there and downloads these lists. And then it costs me 15 or 20 cents to go skip trace them to get all their information.
Oh, yeah, because PropStream might not have their phone number, huh?
Right. So let's just say PropStream does 10,000 downloads, right? You divide that by 97. That means that we're paying $1.03 per lead.
No, it can't be that. No,
So
it can't
97
be that much.
divided by 10,000. Yeah, I'm sorry. So we're paying 9 cents per lead.
That makes sense.
Is that right? It's 0097. No, we're paying 1 cent a lead.
Yeah.
So we're paying we're paying about 1 cent a lead to download them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we're paying 15 cents and sometimes 20 cents. So we're paying between 16 and 21 cents a lead.
That's to find the phone numbers with the skip, which is funny because in the old days you have to hire a private detective. You'd have to drive out to Tulsa, Oklahoma. It'd be $97, right? And you think, 15 cents, I'm doing really good. Then you find this. Is this something that Melissa Data didn't used to do before, or is this always there?
New. Freaking Sean is listening to the podcast.
Is he?
So Sean says 16 cents a lead. He would know. He pays the bill.
Yeah. Hi, Sean.
Melissa Data will give this to us for 8 cents a lead.
And if you hey, what's the big deal saving 8 cents? But if you're doing 1,000, then a 10,000 and 5,000, well, why not? She hands it to you. You can avoid a whole step, and you pay less. Like, duh. Easier and cheaper. Come on.
All right. So I can't end there, Peter.
No, there's about 7 steps left.
So step 16. Okay. Now let's take it one step forward. And I really shouldn't do this, but here you go. Sean says, hey, Pete.
Yeah.
I've been accused of, like I said, making these podcasts like coaching calls, and wanted to pull back a little bit, but because really our listeners should pay for this kind of content, I'm struggling with this in my own mind. They're going to love it. Of course they're going to love it because they're getting coaching stuff for free. Yeah. Anyways, here goes. Step number 17. Here goes. Go grab this free software called TextMagic. Download it on any device you have. It's TextMagic. 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 Here, you'll pay $3.99 for a phone number, $3.99 for a phone number, and then about, I think Sean tells me it's like 4 or 5 cents. I thought it was a half a cent, but I think I was reading it wrong. I think it's like 4 or 5 cents a text.
Yeah. And the $3.99 is just to have your phone number to use. It's not to pay for their phone numbers that you're paying for. Just you have a number with them, $4.
Right. So you're not texting with your cell phone number. You have your own private number that you'll be using on Twilio. Okay. Now that you have it downloaded, the TextMagic downloaded, and you're ready to go, upload this Melissa data list that was given to you that you bought from Miss Melissa Data to TextMagic. So imagine having 4,110 names uploaded to TextMagic, ready to go. Then start texting. Don't make a mistake and text a whole bunch of people because you won't be able to handle it. Text like 25 or 30 people each day. Just pick 25 or 30 people each day. And as you get better, you can do more, but just text 25 or 30 people. What I have found is that if you text less people and have be more interested in them, not interesting, but more interested in them, and have better conversations with them, your conversion rate will be much better. When we text 100 or 200 or 300 names, I think we lose between the cracks. We lose deals because we're not really paying attention to them. Okay. So,
there's a balance in all this. And I know we've talked about it a couple of times, you can do a lot of digital, you can do a lot of automation, and you should, but how do you go from there to really finding what somebody needs, which is your whole point, without that real personal connection? So you can't overdo it. We're doing some kind of quantity, but that quality is really important to connect with somebody. This isn't McDonald's after all,
So both ways work. Both schools of thought work. But I'm suggesting in the beginning, you only need one deal. You don't need 3 deals a month. In the beginning, just get used to it. Yeah. So here, step number 20, here's what you're going to text. Hi, I'm texting because I'm interested in buying the property over at X, X being the address, which, by the way, if you upload your spreadsheet correctly with the property address and the Excel sheet labeled correctly, you can actually use a little, what do they call a little, I don't know what they call it, but you can insert the person's address off of the Excel spreadsheet. So it would be something like, hi, I'm texting because I'm interested in buying the property over at 123 Main Street. Is it for sale?
Wow, and it'll insert the address. Wow, nice.
So I want to make something very clear here because I will get support tickets on this. So I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but I want to make it clear at this point. There's a difference between what we're doing right now and the FSBO script because people will get confused about which script to use. So realize each list or each type of person we're talking to has the beginning script change because you want to get their attention. So like the for sale by owner script that's on the free website, the free stuff website, right? is for calling for sale by owners. It talks about, do you want to do a terms deal? It does it that way because they're used to getting pummeled with realtors calling them trying to get it listed. So we're asking them to do a terms deal because they're like, what is that? It knocks them off of their automaticity in their head, thinking that a realtor is calling them trying to get another listing.
Right.
So it makes us stand out. It's a unique selling proposition. Makes us stand out. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So here, because we're calling off-market houses, they're not for sale yet.
Right.
Or they most of them, because really think about it, with the pandemic, there's pent up sales. So there's people that have not listed the house because they don't want the pandemic in their house, or they're afraid, or whatever their situation may be. They didn't list the house, but they really do want to sell it. So now you're sneaking right through the mailbox, right into the front door, standing in the foyer, saying to them, "Hey, do you want to sell this house?"
Yeah, but you're asking, is it for sale? Because
Right.
it's not a FSBO, so you don't assume it is. That'd be stupid. So
Right.
it's more
so
accurate.
You're saying, "Hi, I'm texting you because I'm interested in buying the property over at X 123 Main Street.
Mm.
Is it for sale?" Then once they say yes, you text them, "Could I rent it for a year or two without landlord obligations and then sell it to me?" That wouldn't work for you, would it?
Mm-hmm. I love that. Wait a minute. Say that last one. I love that.
So the second thing is, so if they say yes, it is for sale, because they're going to be like, "What's your offer?" or "How much?" or, because they think they're cocky because they got other people trying to text them and other people asking them. The common thing I hear is, "I got 5 people a day asking me to sell this property." Okay. And just don't take offense to that. And remember what I said in the beginning of the podcast, that's antagonism. That's pure antagonism. They're being antagonistic to you. Don't be antagonistic back.
Right.
Stay cheerful, and you'll just don't let it stick to you. They don't mean it. It's just, that's the way some people are.
Yeah.
Right. So then once you send them the first one, you say, "Could I rent it for you?" I'll give that to you again. "Could I rent it from you for a year or two without the landlord obligations," in parentheses, without landlord obligations, "and then sell it to me?" That wouldn't work for you, would it? It's a double negative, but it works. Or you could do something like, "Would you be willing to sell the house in a terms purchase?" Either one works. Okay. By the way, all these scripts you can get by clicking on the link on the podcast description. You remember I said in the description there's a link with 25 things in there?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you're not going to get is the first question, which is, "I'm texting because I'm interested in buying a property over at X. Is it for sale?"
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're not going to get that, but all the other scripts are there. So just go into the description wherever you're watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, and click on the free stuff page and download the for sale by owner script, right? And here's what you can do is you can pre-enter that script into TextMagic.
Mm-hmm.
So every time so what you're going to do is in TextMagic, you're going to send out a broad text. We'll say 30, 50, 20 people, 100 people, whatever you decide to do. And it's going to send all those texts out at once, but they're sending them out individually. It's not a broadcast, a broad text.
Mm-hmm.
It is sending them out all at once, but when they come back, they answer you one at a time. So you have individual conversations with each of these people when they text you back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's all you and them talking. It's very private. Okay. So if you're having trouble with setting up TextMagic, and I can't refuse to do this, but it's annoying for me, so I hope it doesn't happen too much. But I will do it. I'm going to promise it, so you don't worry about it. So if you're having trouble setting up TextMagic, send me a support ticket, and I'll send you an ebook on how to set it up step by step with pictures that Emma made for my students.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, so if you're having trouble, I mean, they have videos and stuff on there, but if you want a direct link to do that, then I can send you send me a support ticket, and I will send you the ebook. Now, I would like to mention that all of that is cool as hell. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what I just told you is not something you would, never mind get it for free, but Most guys that charge for information don't even know how to do this. Matter of fact, Sean is on the call, and I guarantee you we're going to have a conversation about this because we're going to be together later on today. But I have some other ideas for him that I'd like to implement right away that for 8 cents a lead, it's freaking unbelievable for off-market properties. And by the way, Melissa Data does a whole lot more than owner absentee. They do foreclosures, they do vacants, they got a whole array of other types of deals. So it doesn't have to be just this one kind. What I'm telling you is if you're going to make offers where you want to do a lease option, or if you want to do, a rent to own, or if you want to do a slot deal to start with, why not go to where the people are already have that conversation in their head about collecting monthly rent and go talk to those people and have less barriers or restrictions, right? And more important, let me go back to the beginning of my notes. When you start following these main concepts, which are, let me read it to you again. Let me see here. Success depends upon the value the seller places upon what you can do for them, right? So the rule that's missed by a lot of investors is find out what people want, then help them get it. So we know what people want because they're on the list. They're on the absentee owner list. They've already moved out of the house. What you're going to find is a lot of accidental landlords. In other words, they bought another house, they went to sell this house, a year or 2 or 3 ago, whenever, and for some reason they couldn't sell it, so they rented it out, so they didn't have the expense. They couldn't handle the new house and the old house, so they rented it out, and it's just been kind of that way. Yeah. You're going to run into a lot of those. So is this valuable to them when you start saying, well, I'll rent it? You have no landlord obligations. Right now they have landlord obligations. And when I get through a certain period, I'm going to get my buyer qualified for a mortgage, and we're going to actually get you off of this puppy. And they're going to be like, really? So now you have a better chance of making deals because you're speaking to the right crowd. You know what I mean? This is kind of like, you know what Chris Ruth's restaurant is? Most people do. It's a very expensive steak restaurant. It's a la carte. You go in and it's for 2 people. It's $150 to eat. Right? Yeah. This is like me being in the parking lot of Chris Ruth's trying to sell hamburgers or sell McDonald's or Burger King. Why would I want to do that? They're already full. They just had a $150 meal. Why would they want to buy a hamburger?
Yeah, even if they're going in, they don't want a hamburger. They're there for a fat steak, and you're just hamburger. Never mind.
Right. You see what I'm saying? So it's the message doesn't match the crowd. Right. Where if I took those same hamburgers, right, and I went to, and I'm just talking, I hope I don't get in trouble with this, but like if I go to Ethiopia where there's children that are starving to death because they don't have food, and I try to either sell those hamburgers or get rid of those hamburgers there, what's the difference? I'm going to have no trouble in Ethiopia or wherever, right, getting rid of those hamburgers, right, because there's a high need for that. Yeah. So what I'm telling you is the only way that you can make money is put yourself in a position to make money. So how do you put yourself in a position to make money? Well, put yourself in front of the most possible best prospect you can find, and then do your stuff. So all I'm saying is the true talent, and it's showing up now. It's more magnifying now more than ever in my 20 years, because the market is so hot that you can't just willy-nilly go look for leads and just accidentally find them anymore. Right. So what is that story, Peter? I'm not sure that I can do the story any justice, but it's the guy that's in the early 1900s. He's digging for gold, and he spends his life savings on all this equipment and all this machinery, and he's digging. He goes a year or two, and he runs out of money, and he goes into town, and he goes into the local bar, and he finds this wealthy guy that buys everything, and he sells him all the equipment for 25 cents on a dollar. Yep. Right. So what does the wealthy guy do? He doesn't even go out to the site. He doesn't even look at the equipment. He doesn't even care. He goes and finds some some engineer or gold specialist, I don't even know what you would call them, to do studies on the gold veins under the ground. He does studies because he's an engineer. He knows how to do that kind of stuff. So he hires this guy. He spends all the money on this guy. And then he comes up there and he says, put the machine right there and dig. And it happened to be like 8 feet or 3 feet
it was
away,
ridiculously close,
away from where the other guy was digging. And they drilled down and they hit a gold vein, and he became more wealthy.
Yeah.
The point is, the first guy was just moving his equipment around and taking haphazard shots at let's dig here, let's dig there, let's dig here. They didn't do their research. Where the wealthy guy, which is probably why he's wealthy, did his research and put the drill where the vein is most likely to be. Right?
Yep.
This is in my head the picture I get with investors. Are they just moving their equipment around and just drilling, looking for the gold haphazardly because they think this is where it should be? Or are they going back into history looking for those people that actually like have had experience with what we want to do? Like, for example, out of area owners that are, they have bought another house because they moved out. They have some experience. That the likelihood of them being an accidental landlord or the likelihood of them collecting rent is very high. So they're already, that trigger point has already been, it's already went off in their mind because you don't have to convince them to collect rent. They're already doing it.
Yep.
So the value or the benefit you're going to bring to them is, well, I'll tell you what, you're collecting rent right now and you got landlord obligations and there's no payday for you. How about if I give you a full asking value and I rent it from you with no rental obligations? Which, by the way, all those rental obligations that you're making with your seller get passed on to your buyer. So you don't even have the rental. You don't have those landlord obligations either. You're putting them onto the end user. He has to cut the grass and shovel the driveway and make the payments and all that stuff. So you're just passing it on. So why not hire the engineer to find the gold vein and put the machine above it and dig, and you'll have a better success.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I've showed you how to do today is how to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, right on the main page, there's a pretty blonde with a fistful of money, and to the left of that, there's a course on the front page called Creative Real Estate Deal Making 101. Okay. So in that course, you'll learn how to make offers. The 7 deal strategies that I use. So if you want to just in a weekend hatch yourself up, you can do it in a weekend. And then go pull this list and just start talking to people. All right. So if you go listen to episode number 242, Why Rookies Grow or Die with Finding and Making Deals, Real Estate Deals. That's a great podcast, right? You can also listen to episode 244. Those would give you enough. You can listen to episode 205 and 206. Those 4 or 5 episodes and that free course will give you enough ammunition to make a deal. I promise. I know because
people have.
Yeah,
people have them. People have.
And of course, you can also click on the top right-hand corner of on the top of the page. It says courses. On the top of the page, it says courses and the links. There's only 3 or 4 links there. And when you open up the courses page, the Deal Hunting Monthly Mastery course is there. And I suggest you go take a look at the Deal Hunting Monthly Mastery because every month we go over stuff like this. In fact, this coming April, the first Wednesday of April of 2021. If you're listening to this podcast after that, then you can just go look at it anyways. But I'm going to actually go through some of this stuff, and I'm going to point and click and show you how to do this instead of just explaining to you on the podcast. And I got a couple more secrets up my sleeve that I'm not given to you here because Text Magic is a manual way of doing it. Once I get into Sean's ear, because Sean is a real good tech guy, and I explain to him what I want to do, I'm sure he'll be all over it, and we'll be doing it automatically. So we have software that can do this automated. So,
Wait, you mean the automation is automated?
So what I'm talking about is going into Melissa data, extracting that information, putting it in my software, and automatically texting them with no human interference.
Jeez.
So the only thing we have is one of our VAs that works an hour and a half a day, just answer those texts. Okay, for 8 cents a lead. It's incredible, and an unlimited source of leads. Right. All we have to do is change the states. Like right now, we're doing Hartford, Connecticut, and New Haven, Connecticut, and we're also doing Akron, Ohio. But Sean in the background has to do a bunch of manual labor. I figured out how he doesn't have to do that anymore. We could do it all automated. I've taken all that manual labor out, and I'm going to show that on the monthly mastery, the Deal Hunting Monthly Mastery. So I'm not trying to provoke you to go there. I'm just saying that that's where I teach all that stuff. If you want to know more. Okay. So today's game in real estate, if you haven't figured this out, today's game in real estate, meaning right now, March of 2021, like you said before, Peter, you might be listening to this a year later, it might be different, but March of 2021, you can't listen to those that are saying, every time I bid on a house, I get outbid and people are paying 20 grand over asking price. I mean, you're selling your family house right now, and you just got done telling me you were thinking it was 260 or 270, right? I walked through the house and I said to you, no way, Peter, you're doing 299.9 and you're going to get more than that. And you just signed a contract for 330.
That's right.
That's the market right now. It was really worth 300, right?
Yeah. Well, the 260 number was like last year, or the last few years when I was anticipating this, then I was around 290 with my broker, and we were still thinking, you go 299? I go, absolutely, because I just seen my son's looking, and I just hear what's going on. It's just
so here's the point in that conversation. That is very true for on-market property, because here's what does happen. I'm going to be very blunt here. I'm not pulling no punches today because I'm just in that mood. Okay. I've got way too much stuff going on, and I'm not looking to like hype things up today. I'm just looking to like lay it on the table. So here's the truth of the matter. People that are out there looking for deals don't know what they're doing. They haven't been trained. They're looking for on-market houses, and they're competing with one another, making it harder for everybody else to buy houses.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you get involved with, whether it's me or somebody else, right? I'm telling you, for not very much money, I'm going to teach you how to, and you don't even have to do that. This podcast alone, you could do it for free. I'm teaching you how to go find off-market property. It's a big difference between those. So in today's market right now, to find deals, you want to be in the off-market arena. You have to go places you would not normally go, and you have to go find deals that you normally wouldn't look in those corners of the world to get. And proof of that is that Sean and I are like doing a lot of deals. You know, we want to do more, obviously, but these are not deals. These are monster deals. These are phenomenal deals. The times right now are fantastic, because you make the most amount of money in chaos, and God knows there's been plenty of chaos.
Yep.
So what we've done is we've not only figured out that we got to get out of the on-market properties, finding for sale by owners and MLS and realtors and all that stuff. Those are the guys that are suffering because they don't know how to. They don't have the magic of how to find the off-market deals. This is much along the line, Peter, of a realtor having a pocket listing.
Yeah.
Right. So what a pocket listing means is the realtor will come to the seller, and the seller will say, here's what I want to do, sign a listing contract. The realtor back in the day would open up his suit jacket, and in the front of his lapel, put the contract on the inside of his suit jacket. And what he would do is, before he told anybody else about this deal, he would go to his friend and say, hey, I got this really good deal. You should look at it. Right. So then the MLS came along, and what happened was they would tell their friends about the deal before they put it on the MLS. They would actually tell the owner that they have this offer. The owner would accept the offer verbally or with a contract, and then the owner, the agent, I have to sneeze, hang on. Oh my goodness. Then the agent would list the property as a sold property. So they would list it and then just put on there under contract.
Mm-hmm.
That's called a pocket listing. Right?
Yeah, I was talking to my broker yesterday on my house, and she has a wholesaler feeding her.
Yeah.
And it goes right to her flipper. She's got a guy. It's just, and I'm thinking, can I get in the middle of that some way? I know her. She didn't even offer to me. I'll have to go back, circle back on that one. Because I know her, I've known her for years. First deal I'm doing with her, but it's all set up, the wholesaler to her. And it's like, and nothing can move. If they don't sell to each other, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So that's that tight when you really get in on somebody's inside pocket, and you're not on anybody's pocket listing most likely right now. That's
right. So that's where this off market, speaking to the seller directly and just doing what I'm talking about, picking the list that is already predetermined as being the potential motivated seller in today's market. So you do 60% of your work is done by picking the right list, which I showed you how to do today.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not talking about vacant properties. I'm not talking, those people are not motivated. Vacant properties. Think about this. How many people have told me they're going to chase vacant properties? Why on God's green earth would you do that? Most of those people inherited them. We had a girl here in town that had 8 properties that her parents gave her. They were vacant for 10 years and they got foreclosed on because of taxes.
So you're saying the people with the vacant property are not that motivated, even though they're vacant?
I haven't found them that way.
Yeah, I'd be interested in one because my kid needs a place to live. That's a reason. If you're looking for one for yourself to live in,
right,
and they're not that motivated, that's not encouraging.
Well, think of it. If it's vacant, it's either they like I said before, they put their head in the sand and they're not paying attention to it, and they don't really care because there's no repercussion to them, or they have enough resources that they could pay for the property and just let it sit there. And most of the time, they're inherited properties, and they're here's what they're doing. You ready for these words?
Yeah.
You ready for this? Yeah. It's a life continuum of mom and dad. So they're continuing mom and dad's life on through the house because they're not ready.
They can't let go. They can't let go.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'm in the middle of that one. I know what that feels like, but I'm a big boy. So for some people, that's not easy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I get it. Okay.
I'm not saying that there aren't good deals with vacant houses. I'm just saying it's not as good as it seems to be in the beginning.
Yeah, you would think, oh my God, please take my vacant house because it costs me money every month. Right. Okay.
So in this market, deals that buyers are fighting over and causing auction type bidding, which in turn gets sellers 5, 10, 20 grand or more over the asking price, that's not the game.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why I created the Deal Hunting Monthly Mastery. I did that. I started that in September of 2020. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's apropos for now because finding deals is the hardest thing to do in today's economy. Right?
Well, it always is because when you're new in this business, you don't know how to do it. I had a friend call me, oh, I want to get into real estate. I'll call my broker. No, never, no. So it's just more important right now because things are so tight. But I mean, you just keep digging deeper to find faster, better ways to get stuff. And I'm going to say it again. You've always gotten deals, but in a worse market, you got more deals going. I know your numbers.
Yeah. Well, Sean has a lot to do with that. Sean, partnering up with Sean was a big advantage for him and for me. Actually, what Sean did for me is, and he probably doesn't know this because I'm going to tell him right now because he's listening. The biggest thing he did is what you did for me back in the day. You got me back to working. So Sean got me back to working because now I feel obligated to him. Like I would personally, I would not do a slot deal. I mean, why would I want to work for $5,000? I mean, I'm not being cocky or nothing like that. But now if a slot deal came, I would do it because I know Sean would do a majority of the work and I would just do it just because for Sean. I wouldn't want to jip him out of the 5,000 because that's the way I am. I'm very loyal to my partnership. So I would just do that. And you know that because we've been partners for years and you've known me for 20 years. And, so Sean just took me to another level of work. And there's days where I don't want to do the work. And it's not because I'm lazy and I don't want to do work. It's because my online business or I got some other thing going on or, I got this going on or I got a lot of stuff. I've got 9 sources of income in my life. 9 sources of income. So it doesn't take much to steal my attention.
Mm-hmm.
You know, have one thing or the other steal my attention.
Yep.
So John writes, my daughter's looking, I just put it in there. My daughter's looking for a house too. This is great intro to asking to buy a house, and it doesn't look so scammy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is correct.
Hey, John, just put in the, I'm just curious where you are. Just tell us where you are, like what city, state. Just curious.
So hopefully this information was helpful today. I know that, I've been trying to hone in on the podcast and not have all the chit chat so that we're just right down to doing business. Although I love chit chatting with you, Peter, but you could buy me steak and cigars and shit and dinner to chit chat with me from now on. Okay?
Well, we've been doing that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just teasing. Speaking of, we should talk about Saturday night.
Saturday night. Yeah, well, that's right. Well, we might have another check in our pocket.
I don't care if we got the check or not. There's plenty of money in the checkbook. So
oh no, it's just an excuse.
I'm thinking we should go for the $500 meal. I don't know where that is, but we should go for that. Well, look at him cringe, listen, folks. Look,
my grandmother told me not to show off because the poor people feel bad. He told me not to show off.
I'm poor.
Huh?
I'm poor. I am.
Oh, you are?
I am.
Well, I was worrying about our poor broker because she just shifted offices and she lost some sales and things are a little bit tight. So I thought maybe we take her out to dinner because she might be hungry.
Oh, that's a good idea.
No, honestly, folks, just hold on for a sec. I talked to her the other night. She didn't even know our closing was happening tomorrow because she's a little bit out of the loop. She's between two. She's switching brokerages, but she said she wanted to maybe work with us in your mentorship program or some flips or whatever we need. I think she just likes hanging around us because she tells us how crazy all the other sellers and buyers are, and we're actually, believe it or not, less crazy than them. Mm-hmm. Maybe we're just a little nicer or something, but anyway, she wants to hang a little bit. So
cool. So John says he's in the North Metro Atlanta area called Canton, Georgia.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I bet the whole country's about in the same kind of boat. Not much difference. Sometimes one area of the country's things are going up, one area is going down. I bet the whole country's in the same boat right now.
It is.
All at once. It's something we never see. The whole thing all at once.
It is. It's very rare.
It makes me wonder if the whole thing's going to go down at the same time.
It is. But I don't know, them crazy aristocrats at the top of the food chain just put $1.9 billion into the economy. So I have no idea how that's going to play out, other than I know there's no way you can print $1.9 billion, put it in the economy and have production as low as it is.
Trillion.
I'm sorry, trillion. I keep saying billion, trillion.
Yeah. Gazillion.
Yeah. There's no way you could put all that money because inflation means not enough product, too much money.
Yeah.
Not enough loaves of bread and too much money to buy the loaves of bread.
So
that's what it means. So here we are just coming off of COVID with a whole year of people staying at home and not making products or making less products. I mean, I told you I tried to buy a couch. Well, I bought a couch for my wife. She wanted a new couch set, right?
Yeah.
It took us 4 months and it turned into 5 months just to get it delivered because there was nobody making couches.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the recipe for disaster right there. That's the tax nobody talks about is inflation. So they put in whatever trillions. I mean, President Trump put in a bunch of money. There's still a whole bunch of money. Something like
there's billions left from before.
900 billion that they hadn't spent from the last relief package, and then they just did. So they got almost $3 trillion that they're going to pump into the economy. And the only thing I know about it, I don't know enough about it because I haven't been watching because I don't want to hear about it because I'm just got my head in the sand about it because it's just so insane to me. The only thing I could say about it is that one senator, a Republican senator, was on one of the stations I was watching late at night. And when I went to bed, I come home from the smoke shop and it was like 11 o'clock at night. I turned TV on for 20 minutes and I watched this senator say this. First of all, he said that they're passing bills at 4 o'clock in the morning and 2 o'clock in the morning because they don't want the public to know the bills are passing. Number one. And number two, he's like talking about, I lost my train of thought. He's talking about how it was the guy that made them read the bill. And it took him 11 hours to read the bill.
Read the damn thing. There's hundreds of pages.
It took 11 hours to read it.
I'm surprised they can get through it in 11 hours.
Right? So here's what he said. Is too many times I heard that in 2024, 2025, 2026, he said, this is an emergency relief package. Why are they talking about 2024, 25, and 26? The money should be gone by then. It's a relief package for the Americans.
And what are they saying about 2024, 5, 6? What are they saying about it?
The money, some of this money is going to get released then.
Then?
Yeah. So he's like, where's this money going that it's going to last? You know what I mean? It's like, this is supposed to be relief for the Americans now. The emergency is now. It's not in 2024. So his point is that there's a lot of things in the package that has nothing to do with emergency. I read in the Epic Times the other day that only 9% of that money is being used for COVID.
Oh yeah, most of it is like some horrible states and cities that just did a crappy job running their economy. There's gonna be here's some money because you did a crappy job. Is that how you raise your kids? Hey, you did a crappy job. You didn't go to work. You lost your job. Here's a bunch of money. How about get a job?
They reward the downstats. So anyways, so I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is this little niche that I'm talking about, where off-market properties, you go look for those. You do exactly what we're talking about in today's podcast and the last couple of podcasts we've been talking about, and you will find deals, you will make money, and you will find those motivated sellers because they are out there. They are there. Don't let anybody tell you any different. And if you're not finding them, then you are doing something wrong. You need to do something like get on this podcast or get on my monthly mastery or go find someone that could teach you to. It doesn't have to be me. And figure out who's doing a lot of deals right now and take advice from them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my parting words, Peter. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, everybody, for listening and all the support you give us, all the support tickets, all the nice comments. There's not a single support ticket. I can't even remember ever seeing a single support ticket that somebody doesn't start off with, Bill and Pete, we love the amount of content you give us. Thank you for doing all the hard work and giving us what we have to get us going. I mean, they're all, I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but they all start off that way. They start off with, thank you for all the materials you give us for free. You know, not even just for free, but the materials you give us so that we have a chance of getting going. So almost every support ticket starts that way. So I feel happy about that. I feel like we are doing our job. We are changing the industry, and I want to continue to do that. So thank you for all the support. Make sure you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and do a testimonial for us if you feel like we're doing a good job. If we're not doing a good job, leave us a testimonial anyway so that we could go fix it. Okay. But just a big fat thank you from everybody. And we're over and out. Chat with you next week. Love you being here.